Darkness. Oh, what's going on there? What is it? I don't have any creative directors with me today, or producers, so I'm all alone. I'm going solo, but we're bringing it in with, ready? See, this will be the Darkness, and I'm going to see these guys in a couple weeks. The Darkness. You know this song. We fade it out. Yeah, these dudes rock. They're like my dream band, and they are coming back, and my friends and I are going to see them in a couple weeks, and they're awesome. So here we are, the next episode. I'm going to stop counting because it's not worth it. Only your age is worth counting because 30's coming up here. Whatever. So my friend Summer, who's also a creative director for my show, suggested that I talk about my trip I took a couple years ago. I headed west on a campaign called Emily to Ellen for CF. So my idea was to ride my bike across country from Detroit to Burbank, California, where Ellen tapes the show, and get on the show to talk about cystic fibrosis, raise some awareness, hopefully raise some much needed money that is funding new research. So I created this idea to head west. So what happened was I got on my bike and I went with friends all the way to Chicago. When I got to Chicago, my Achilles tendon decided that it hated me, so it kind of hurt and was injured, and the doctor said there's no way that you can ride your bike any further cross country. So that's okay. I decided, I took it into my own hands here and bought a Vespa scooter, which is an Italian-made scooter, which I've wanted for years. So I figured, hey, what better time to get one than now? So I got the scooter, baby blue, and her name is Blitz, Gesundheit Blitz. She's very German, even though she's Italian. Whatever. So I got the Vespa, and I didn't know how the hell to ride the thing. So I went to take a class. The thing at the Secretary of State, you can only miss like 6 questions, and I missed 6 exactly, so I passed it there, like barely. I went to take a driving test, and my dad actually went with me, and he kind of distracted the driver teacher so I could, just distract her a little bit because I may not have been the most precise on this scooter yet. But I passed that exam, if you will. And then in the next week, I hopped on the scooter with my uncle and rode it from Chicago to Burbank, California. So my idea, I'd been in touch with some producers, and we talked about my life and all that, but they never said you were going to be on the show. And actually, the Friday before I was supposed to leave, I got news that I was absolutely not going to be on the show. They told me outright. So I had a nervous little breakdown. I was like, why am I even going to do this thing? The whole point is for me to get on the show and spread awareness and tell people about it. But you know what? I sucked it up and said, no, the real reason I'm doing this thing is so I can take my life cross country, meet tons of people with CF, without CF, and kind of teach these people about cystic fibrosis and raise money. So I started in Chicago with my uncle, and we left Chicago and headed west. We stopped in Iowa, and I met some good friends there. Actually, a little guy with CF and his mom and dad, and we hung out with them for a little bit. Then we continued west across Nebraska and all these other cornfields, and there were just like cattle everywhere. It smelled terrible. And keep in mind that I'm just learning how to drive the Vespa. Luckily, I only have to drive it in a straight line because, Nebraska only goes one way when you're heading west. So I got to drive through that really long state. We reached Colorado, which was awesome. And my friends at Lululemon in Denver actually had a party for me. And it was pretty cool. It was like a halfway there party. I had friends that I'd met the summer before come in, and other friends were there, and old friends from when I was a kid showed up at this party. And we had a little celebration, did some yoga out there. And then my next stop after Denver was Salt Lake City. But if you know your geography, you know that there's some little things called the Rocky Mountains. So if you know the movie Dumb and Dumber, and when they're on the scooter going, like their nose is frozen snot and they're like really cold, that would have been me on this scooter driving west over mountain passes that were like 8, 9, 10,000 feet elevation. And my uncle is behind me, and my dad's behind me in a pickup truck that had all my medicine, food, because you know I like to eat, uh, and everything that I would need. And we'd stop and take breaks. I went probably 200 to 250 miles a day. Made it over these mountain passes. Eventually got to Salt Lake City where I was able to meet Summer. And the more I think about this, I think, Summer, you only want me to tell this so I can talk about you, and you could get a little FaceTime here on But no, I was able to meet Summer, who has cystic fibrosis as well, and has become a very cool, close friend, and just she's real crazy, so watch out. Spent some time there. Then my dad and I headed south from Salt Lake City to Vegas. And on our trek, we actually ran into on the loneliest road in America. This is called the loneliest road in America. For like 75, 100 miles, we didn't see one other car. But I did run into a biker gang called the Goat Heads. And my dad was driving behind me when we saw all the bikes on the side of the road parked, like motorcycle Harley guys. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I got to stop. This is great filming. This is great pictures. This will make the story incredible. And my dad, in the back, he's thinking, don't stop, biker gang, Emily, don't stop. So I pull over. He has a heart attack. But these guys end up being the nicest group of guys I've ever met. They, passed a hat around and raised, $275 or almost $300 just there. And I still hear from them every now and then, which is cool. So that was fun. Then from the loneliest road in America, we drove through some tumbleweeds and made it to Vegas, where my dad and I were able to see Cher live. It was incredible. It was life-changing. Do you believe in life after love? That's the question. It was an incredible experience, and we got to hang out and gamble a little bit and lose money. And I did some yoga there again with the Lululemon girls. Actually, in front of the Welcome to Vegas sign, so that was cool. From there, my dad and I kept going west. So we went west, rode through Death Valley, which is supposed to be super hot, but I actually was wearing 3 jackets, hat, under my helmet, gloves, and it was cold. So Death Valley is fake. I recommend they're going in August. Just go for a run through there, a bike ride. It's no big deal. From there, we met up with my uncle at an In-N-Out Burger in just outside LA. And we got to LA, and I was welcomed by another group of Lululemon. Hey, Lululemon, thank you for all you've done for me, and I can't wait to work with you in the future. Little plug for you guys. So from then, the next day was the Ellen show. And again, I knew that I was not going to be on the show, but I was offered VIP tickets, which is cool. So my friend and I went to the show, and when we were waiting, if you go to these things, you wait around for hours before the taping. And the producer who I had talked to on the phone came back and took me backstage and kind of talked to me and wanted to know about the show or about my trip, actually, and how much money I'd raised. And I told her I raised $15,000 on this trek cross country. And it was cool. I was able to connect with her before the show. Then they take us to our seats. I'm sitting 4th row up, house right, on the aisle. And if you see the show, you know how Ellen dances through the audience. She does this deal. She goes through, dances through the audience, and then down to her seat. Well, when she gets to me, as she's crossing an aisle, she stops and looks at me and does one of these, what's up? And if you watch the clip, you can see me just I turn to my friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows I'm here. She knows who I am. Maybe she thinks she's looking in the mirror, having a younger deja vu. I don't even know. But so I freaked out. And then on her way down, from the top of the aisle down to her stage in the seat, she kind of stops and hands me a guitar pick, which is the guitar player from Aerosmith, Joe Perry, was on the show. And he opened the show, and she played the guitar. So she kept the guitar pick and handed it to me as she passed by. And that made my day right there. I was like, okay, this is it. This is great. So there's more. During the first commercial break, I see her kind of stand up, and I was like, oh my God, she's coming up here. So she comes up to me, gives me a big hug and says, look, I heard about what you did. I followed your story, blah, blah, blah. And probably the coolest moment in my life, one of two, is making Ellen laugh so hard that she has to buckle down I forget what I said. Something about going to Leno. She's like, I can't believe you came all the way out here just to see my show. And I was like, well, I'm actually going to Leno later, so it's no big deal. And she liked that. It was kind of made my life there, meeting your hero. And when you don't know that you're going to meet your hero, like you have no clue that you're actually going to meet your hero, you don't have time to get like all marble mouthed and talk like a dork. It was just like I was like talking to myself. We were joking around. It was amazing. Then after the show, she kind of gave me a shout out in front of the audience, saying like some people traveled here cross country on a Vespa, and looked at me. Yeah, it's just so cool. It still like makes me so excited to talk about it. And then after she sent my my uncle and my dad and my friend to dinner at a steakhouse, and I'm vegetarian, so that worked out well. But it was great. It was best potato and best broccoli I've ever had in my life. So I mean that made my life, meeting your hero, and it really just shows that roadblocks pop up. My Achilles tendon busted, and I still went on. Knowing that the whole reason I was going to travel west was to be on the show, and then getting a phone call 3 days before saying that you're not going to be on the show. I could have stopped right there, but I didn't. I just went across country. I met incredible people. I met lifelong friends. I met my hero. And yeah. Oh, and one more thing. I'm wearing the Ellen underwear, baby. Most people wear them inside their pants, but I wear them outside. I don't know. And this, you know what? I changed this 5-minute rule because this story is 11 and a half minutes already. So enjoy. I'm glad I could share this, my favorite moment in my life, with you guys. And I will get on that show. So Ellen, I'm coming for you. And when you retire, I'm calling this time. I'll just step right in because I get confused all the time for Ellen. People are always like, oh, when I'm on the streets, sometimes they're like, no, is that, are you Ellen? And I've been like with a homeless guy downtown Detroit. I have had to like tell the guy, look, I am not Ellen. I swear to God, I'm not Ellen. Because he's like, why are you in Detroit? What you do? What are you filming in Detroit? What's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, I am not Ellen. And then I had to hide. It was brilliant. I get it all the time, and I love it. And yeah. So that's this episode. Maybe next time I'll actually tell you guys what cystic fibrosis is. Maybe good, and show you some of my treatments. So until then, peace out, and live the dream, have dreams, and rock CF.